Hello! Dr. Modelstein here reporting in once again. We had a great time at the Chattanooga Model Con this past weekend. So many great models to see and friends to hang out with. I hope you were there. And if you were not, make sure to be there at ModelCon 2026 coming up in January. I am sure we will be talking it up quite a bit between now and then. As far as announcements go, we have quite a selection of new products hitting the website this week. Have you seen them yet? Make sure to check out this week's new additions page. You won't be disappointed. Also, we opened up the pre-order option today on Eduard's new Royal Class P40N model. There is a very limited number of these that are going to be available, so make sure to place your order tonight. Did you get this month's model magazines? We have the new Doolittle publications ready to ship out, so grab them up fast. I am looking forward to tonight's show as we welcome our guest Jon Bernstein. He is the Arms and Armor Curator at the Museum of the United States Marine Corps. It will be very interesting to hear about the museum and his time flying helicopters. Did you know he is even a Squadron Signal Publications author? That's right. He wrote the Apache Walk-Around book several years ago. Well, I will go ahead and end my transmission now before I give away the big secret that I am sure Brandon and Jeff want to talk about later tonight. Hint, hint, it said.
What's going on, guys? It's Wednesday night again, and here we are at Squadron Live. I really appreciate you all being here. I hope for all you fathers that you had a great Father's Day this past weekend. We did. I did. I hope my dad did. We spent the weekend in Chattanooga, which is not too far away from my house anymore. But the reason we were there is for the Model Con, the 2025 Model Con. Chattanooga, their Model Club usually hosts their show called Model Con in January every year. They kind of pride themselves on being the first show of the year, IPMS show, and it kind of got snowed out this past year. So this past weekend was the rescheduled date of Model Con 2025. We were there. We had a good time. If you're curious how that show went, I posted a video up on our YouTube channel earlier today. Just a quick walkthrough, give you an idea of that show. It's a nice show, nice venue. It will be held in the same place again this coming January. So if you would like to be there, we would love to have you. And the information can be found at ChattanoogaModelers.com. So check that out and plan to be there. It's a good show. And let's see, let me jump over here and see who we've got in here with us tonight. Dave says, is this an Apache pilot? Well, I don't want to give anything away. Jon Bernstein is with us, and he'll be joining us on screen in just a few minutes. And I let him tell you all about him. Jeff, good to see you tonight. And Jason is with us. It was good to see you this weekend, buddy. And we got to bring one of Jason's models back with us to the shop. We've got his Wildcat on display at Squadron now, so that's very cool. Very nice to have it. It's a great model for sure. Very happy to have it on display. Danny, good to see you tonight. Glad you got your Fletcher paint set. Looking forward to seeing what you get done with that. David, the F-35Cs from Tamiya, these are still scheduled to be released at the end of July. They are on their way to Tamiya, USA. And the F-35 and the M36 and 35th scale both are scheduled to be here, and we're planning on having them just in time to display them in our booth at Nationals in Virginia, and then of course have them shipped out to all of you guys that are not at the show shortly after that. So end of July, beginning of August, somewhere in there, depending on the freight trucks. That is still the scheduled release date, and hopefully that stays the correct release date. Glenn, good to see you this evening. Glad you had a good time at the show this past weekend. Let's see. Tom, we're going to come back to some of these questions. Once we get John in here, I'll scroll back up and try to hit some of these questions for John and let him answer those for you guys. Rex, good to see you. And Derek, Ken's with us tonight. Let's see. Ed, good to see you tonight. Mark and Rhonda. Lee and Skip's with us. Everybody's in the house tonight. It's good to see everybody. Kimberly, good to see you. And Rob got his P40N on order. Yeah, make sure to get those P40N Royal Class kits from Edward on order. We had been holding back opening up the pre-orders on those, just trying to confirm pricing and make sure we had all our ducks in a row. But we did open those up today, and as you guys probably already know, the pre-order date, the manufacturing cutoff date with Edward has already passed. Now, we ordered a bunch of them, but right before this show started, I took a look, and we're coming up on half of them already spoken for, and we just posted it a couple hours ago. So make sure to go over to squadron.com and get your P40N on pre-order, because they will be gone. And Edward has already posted them as discontinued. So grab them while you can. Bill, good to see you tonight. Rob got his P40 on order. Good deal. Miami Dolphins, how are you, buddy? Good to see you again. Oh, look at there. There's Jeff.
Never gives me a head. He always tries to catch me when I'm doing something.
Oh, how are you, buddy?
Usually I'm staring at the ceiling or something like that.
Well, I'm not that mean. Yeah. I try to catch you when you at least look like you're looking at the camera.
At least you're not like, cueing me in when I'm headbanging during the intro. I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm doing good. So we were at the Chattanooga show this weekend. I know that you missed out on the show you were planning on going to. So if anybody was looking forward to seeing you,
I apologize.
You didn't make it, but hey, maybe next year, right?
Yeah. Well, one of the maladies that I suffer with is I've had a couple of TBIs, traumatic brain injuries, and every now and then I just wake up and there's a man inside of my head with a hammer trying to pound his way out, and then you have to take the medication to kill the headache and the migraines, and then of course you can't drive or operate.
Yeah, that's no way to go to a model show.
They take away my sharp objects. I'm not allowed to have scalpels or knives, or they even take away my hammer and they give me this rubber mallet thing. I mean, it's just really depressing when it happens. But yeah, unfortunately, I woke up very, very early in the morning on Saturday, and my head was just like a football, and took the medication, went back to bed, and when I woke up again, it was 3 p.m.
Well, maybe next time, right?
Well, yeah.
So, and Nationals then is going to be the next show you're at, right?
Nationals will be the next show that I am at, yes.
Well, that'll be the next show we're at. We've been, just going nuts the last few weeks going to shows.
Yep.
3 shows in a month, basically, for us.
Yep.
And so it's been back to back to back. So it'll be... I kind of think it's going to be nice having a few weeks not going to a show, but being that it's Nationals, we've already started preparing for Nationals to try to be as prepared as possible, because as I said in the email that I sent out earlier today, this year we're going to try to go bigger than we've ever gone before. So
bigger and better, go big, go home.
Well,
it's weird because especially like with NimCon, and I know the Chattanooga show was a reschedule for. I was actually in Chattanooga the weekend that the show was supposed to happen.
Okay.
And then the show got snowed out because you and I were going to go to the show, and
Right.
we had talked about that on the previous Wednesday night, and then they canceled the show, and I just ended up going back to Wisconsin, which didn't have any snow, ironically. So, but getting back to my point was that NimCon is always kind of the last show of the summer, spring, early summer before the nationals. And historically, I've always been bummed out because there's nothing between NimCon and the national convention.
Okay.
And it's like a month and a half of no shows, nothing. And, but now that's completely flipped. Now NimCon is done. And I'm actually glad that we've got a little bit of a breather because we've got so much stuff going on.
We do. Yeah. Down here, it's kind of, so at the beginning of the year, our local shows, we've got the Chattanooga show and the 2 Atlanta shows all within the same few weeks. Then you get a break, and then we do the AMPS Nationals, Wonderfest, and IPMS Nationals. Right. And then, of course, there's the Acme Car Show in November. But that kind of, whatever. It is what it is. It's nice to have as many shows as we do have, and I'm glad to be able to get to as many as we can.
Yep. Absolutely.
Rick Bang's asking about this blue. I am looking at the list, and I don't have an exact answer, but I just wrote myself a note, Rick, and I am going to go out to the workshop, and I'll find that one. It's done. It's mixed up. It's ready to go. We just got to get it bottled and labeled, and I've literally been going through the labels trying to sort things out. So I'll find that one, and I'll bump it up to the top of the list and see if we can't get that out next week for you. I mean, one of the colors has to be next. Might as well be one that somebody's looking for, right?
Absolutely.
Speaking of colors, Jeff, everything's going good. The list is almost complete. We have Crystal's been hard at it. There's a few colors that we've been tweaking. Here's the tweak list that we've been working on. Yep. So everything's going good.
So do we give everyone what the magic number actually is for the national convention?
Is the magic number as far as what?
For paint colors.
Well, sure. If they're all done, and that's a big if, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it may not be, if we run into an issue. But if every single color is on the paint rack when we get there, the entire line as it stands is 420 colors. And that does not include the thinners and washes and primers and that stuff. That's 420 actual paint colors. Yep. And I don't know how many of them are on the shelves right now, but it's better than 75% of them for now. Yeah. So, but every day we're adding more to it.
Even if we end up having 1,000 colors in the lineup, somebody's always going to want 1,001, no matter what.
It is, but it's good. It was really nice this weekend being at the show as the paint gets more and more out into the audience. I'm starting to see more and more models on the display tables at the shows using the paint. It's kind of neat. I'm glad that it's able to help customers get the exact colors that they need. So it's a good thing.
I spent a lot of time in the first 8 years that I was doing this, living vicariously through my customers,
right?
Because obviously it takes a lot of time to produce this stuff and bottle it and tint it and all of that other fun stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So it automatically cuts into your build time. But that's kind of placated when you see someone come up and say, look, this is your paint, and you look at it and you're living vicariously through, but it's really cool. And, when they take an award or they get noticed for their work, recognized for their work, and you had a hand in that.
Absolutely. Well, it's good. Jim is asking, what is the kit in the white box behind you above the railgun? That is the Zimmy models. It is 35th scale. It's a 40 millimeter quad Bofors that they do. It's a very cool kit. Let's see. I would go back there and grab it, but I can show you on our website. It'll look better this way. If I can remember how to do this.
SQUA.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so that's it. This is Zimmy Model, who is the same company. Zimmy Models and Kitty Hawk Models and Panda Models. Kitty Hawk and Panda got bought up last year. Zimmy Models is the company that bought those brands up, and instead of rolling those into Zimmy, they decided to keep the brands separate. So, but this is a very, very nice kit. They did a really nice job on it, and it fits right into all these large, who is it? Tacom's doing these big turrets, and I think Ming's got a couple. You see these kind of things going now. I know Pig Models, we've got the 5-inch 38. So it's a neat kit. It's a really neat kit. Well, we've got a lot to talk about tonight, Jeff. We've got a very exciting. It's exciting to me, and I know you're excited about it. I know Russ and Jared are excited about it. That's pretty much all the people in the world that know about it at the moment. So
I'm not sure I even know about it. What are you talking about?
You know about it. Our
Okay.
special announcement tonight, our Nationals exclusive.
Yes.
So we've got that to talk about. One of our Nationals exclusives. We have more than one. We're letting one out of the bag tonight. Yeah. But we'll get to that in just a little while. But first, I don't want to keep our guest waiting any longer. Jeff, this is one of your friends. If you'd like to introduce our guest here.
Well, this particular character and I go back about 30 years and chewed some of the same dirt together. And he's a former Apache driver, AH-64 pilot. He's a squadron signal author. He wrote the AH-64 Apache walk-around book. And he is currently the Arms and Armor Curator for the National Museum of the United States Marine Corps, located in Quantico, Virginia. So, without further ado,
here's Jon.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you, brother?
Doing awesome. Really glad to be here. Thanks.
I really, the this and this that's not regulation, dude.
Dude, I've been out for over a decade now. I don't need anybody calls me sir, I make fun of them.
Yeah. I always tell people, sir is my dad.
Right, exactly.
So, wow. I mean, we were talking about this earlier on. You and I have probably run parallel courses in our lives and in our careers, model builders and authors and working in the museum industry. And I've mentioned it a few times prior on other shows that I was the director of the New Jersey Aviation Hall of Fame and Museum.
And I was your intern.
And Jon was my intern. We were friends before that, and he was in grad school and said, I need to find an internship. And I said, I'll hire you. I mean, why not? Yep. And we even got to pay him. It was a paid internship. I don't know where. Awesome. I don't know how I convinced my board of directors to let that happen, but it worked out. Jon worked with us for a year, did his internship for your master's in
museum studies.
I was going to say curatorial sciences, but it was something along those lines. And then, of course, immediately after he graduated, he went to the big leagues, and I stayed down in the minors, playing AAA ball. But you went to the Air Defense Museum.
Well, it was a little more circuitous than that. I went to grad school in 2001. Of course, I'm a New Yorker and moved out to Texas in August of 2001, and then 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
And so while I was out there working on my master's, I joined ROTC and then got into the Texas Guard and ended up, sort of detouring my museum career with my military career.
Right.
And, so that was it was a weird roundabout way, but I got everything accomplished that I wanted to. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And it always cracks me up because we are two spirits that won't talk to each other for a year. And then when we do pick up the phone and communicate, it's like, we're neighbors.
No time has passed.
There's no time has passed.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll laugh about that when we're in our 90s and they're pushing us around in wheelchairs. But
I'm sure.
It's been an amazing run, and we've had a lot of fun along the way. We've made some great models, met some amazing people in our travels.
Sure have.
You connecting me with people and me connecting you with people. And,
Yep.
and so now tell us about your gig at the National Museum of the United States Marine Corps.
So I came aboard about 5 years ago. It'll be 5 years ago this August as the Arms and Armor Curator. So every weapon system in the museum that is not an aircraft, that falls under me.
So everything from M1 Garands to Sherman tanks to.
Yep. In fact, we just accessioned a gas trap M1 into the collection today.
Wow.
Which was pretty amazing. I was really excited about that. But yeah, I manage a collection of about 3,500 firearms, about close to 2,000 edged weapons, about 1,100 pieces of inert ordnance, and then the macro artifact collections, everything from vehicles to tanks, whatever.
Artillery pieces.
About 300-400 pieces there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is, in your opinion, the most significant artifact in the museum's collection?
That's tough to say because we have a number of pieces that are really significant to the history of the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. Things like Archibald Henderson's Mameluke, which was the first Marine Corps officer's sword. It was the prototype.
Right.
Things like that. Things like, Smedley Butler's uniform. Just some amazing stuff. But personally, my favorite is the main project that I'm working on now, is one of our Sherman tanks. Which sort of had a hidden history because of the way it's configured, and nobody thought it was really significant. But it turned out it was actually a diamond in the rough, so to speak. It is what everybody would probably know as a POA CWS H5 flamethrower tank. First of all, I got to say that designation is incorrect. That's the Army designation, and the Army only had 10 of them, whereas the Marine Corps had 62 of them. The Marine Corps called them CB H5s. CB for the CBs who designed and built the damn things, and then the H was for Hawaii, and 5 was the 5th design. The H1s were the ones that had the main armament flamethrower, and they were used on Iwo Jima and on Okinawa as well. But the H5s had the coaxial flamethrower and the main gun still in place.
So was that a 75 or a 105?
It was a 75.
Okay.
So the 72 that were converted to that standard were a mix of tanks coming back from Iwo Jima and new tanks coming into Hawaii. So the new tanks that were coming in were almost exclusively 105 HVSS tanks.
Okay.
The old tanks that were coming back were 75 VBSS tanks.
Right.
But it didn't matter. They took 72 of them and converted them for the invasion of Japan. So our tank was the 50th tank converted. It's a VBSS 75 tank that in 2023 we discovered actually was with the 5th Tank Battalion on Iwo Jima.
Wow.
And once I was able to climb up on it and see the weld scarring from all the self-protection stuff that the Charlie Company 5th Tanks had added to it, it was clear that we had a gem there.
Okay, self-protection for our listeners, kind of explain that a little bit.
So there were a number of weapon systems that the Japanese used that the Marines wanted to protect their tanks from. The most feared was the Type 99 magnetic mine, which was a little bit bigger than a hockey puck. It had 4 magnets on it, and if you threw it and it landed flat on the side of a tank, it would blow through almost an inch of armor.
Oof.
If you stack 2 of them on top, you could get almost twice that. So the roof armor on a Sherman's only a little over an inch thick. So one of those landing flat on top of a Sherman could really do some damage. So what 5th tanks did, and it varied by company, it varied by battalion, because the 4th Tank Battalion had their own methods. But the 5th Tank Battalion, A and C Company took 3.5-inch long nails and welded them on top of the turret, point up.
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of people say that, yeah, big nails. A lot of people say, oh, it was to keep the Japanese infantry off. And that really wasn't it. It was to protect them from that Type 99 mine landing flat on the roof. If it landed on those nails or even just slightly on the nails, it wouldn't have enough adherence to penetrate the top of the turret.
Wow.
I need some 3-inch nails in 35th scale.
I've been working on it. Actually, I've done one already, and I'm working on the second one.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's been
So
slow
you found evidence of this on the tank that you recovered, and
Yes.
instantly realized that the only place that they ever did this was on Iwo Jima.
There were 34 tanks that had this done,
And you found one of those 34.
Yep. So
And this tank was just sitting in the brush somewhere, or
it had come back after World War II. It was brought back to the States. It ended up at 2nd Tank Battalion at Camp Lejeune. And it was there for a while and sort of fell into disrepair. And in the late 70s, they wanted to turn it into a monument tank. But it was just after Vietnam. There was no money really for it and everything. And by the early 80s, apparently the battalion commander was just like, get rid of it, do something with it. Just, we don't want it on the ramp anymore. And so one of the first sergeants basically just sort of shoved it off into the woods. And it wasn't until 2002 that it was found again. And so in 2002, they recovered it, and it was then sent to the museum, and it sat in our warehouse until 2020. We lost some of our storage space back in 2020. This was before I arrived. So we have a fantastic working relationship with the Pima Air and Space Museum. Mm-hmm. And they were just starting to stand up or gather the collection for the Tucson Military Vehicle Museum, which just opened. And so they took a whole bunch of our stuff on loan and really saved us from having to lose a bunch of stuff. So we sent the Sherman out there, and I didn't actually get out there until June of 2023 to see the tank firsthand. And that's when I discovered this.
Wow.
So I've been working with them very closely over the past couple of years.
So is the tank coming back to Virginia?
Yes. So we're looking to move it within the next couple of weeks. And I'm working on an event that I can't really talk too much about right now, but yeah, I mean, if it comes to pass, it should be back at Quantico by the beginning of August.
Oh, dude, this is a road trip. I mean, I can drive a semi. Let's go. We'll flatbed it. You and I will road trip cross country. This will be like the heavily armed version of Smokey and the Bandit. This will be awesome. We'll even stop by Ringgold, Georgia to pick up some illegal beer or something,
Awesome.
It's all legal now, Jeff.
I know. It's taking all the fun away.
Oh, man. Well, so, John, going back to, Jeff said, hey, for all our listeners that might not know, something else our listeners might not know. So where is your museum?
So we're in Quantico, Virginia, about 45 minutes south of D.C., just outside the base. Okay. We're open 363 days a week. I think we're closed Christmas and New Year's.
A week. See that? See how that is how dedicated the Marines are.
Yes,
they put
the whole year into 1 week.
They put 363 days into a week.
363 days a year. Thanks. And
come on, you hung that right over the plate. I had.
I did. Come on, it was easy. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're just off of I-95 at exit 150.
And it is an absolutely it's an amazing building. Even when you pull into the parking lot and you just look at the facade, the front of this building, it's just such an amazing sight to see. This is such an amazing building. And then when you walk through those glass doors, I mean, anybody that has an interest in not only Marine Corps history, but just American military history in general,
yep.
This is you're a kid in a candy store, and there's just so much cool stuff everywhere you look.
This past October, we just opened Gallery 13 and 14, which is 1975 to 2000, and then 2001 to the present. And so really, that was a long time in the making. It was over 10 years really developing those two galleries. We finally were able to open them, and they're absolutely spectacular.
Yep.
So yeah, really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, some absolutely amazing exhibits, amazing artifacts on display, and stuff that you simply just don't see anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
One thing that you said, John, a minute ago that was interesting to me, and this website, by the way, there's a lot of stuff on here. I'm just clicking around, but
Yeah, sure.
you've got a walkthrough video that I was going to try to show, but it won't pull up on my screen here, so you guys have to go over here and check that out. But one of the things you said a minute ago that just was interesting to me is you said that Sherman was, if I heard you correctly, was in your storage from what, 2002 until 2020?
Yep.
So these big museums, we get to go see all this stuff that you've got all fixed up and nice on the floor, but the fact that you have storage with things like Sherman tanks hanging around that nobody even knows about.
Yep.
How many other gems do you have just laying around, or do you even know what's in storage?
We know what we've got, but one of the great things about being a museum guy and being a curator is researching the collection and trying to figure out, okay, we've got a Sherman tank. It's configured this way. We know it. That type never saw combat in World War II, but what else could we find out about it? I've got an M422 Mighty Mite that, sort of inconspicuous little vehicle, but it's got all original paint on it. And so I started looking at it and realized that it still had the shipping label stenciled on the hood from 1964 when it was in Operation Steel Pike, which was the first division-size amphibious assault into Spain as a training exercise in October of '64. So it's sort of a little microcosm of that period of time. That's one of the most rewarding things about museum work, really getting into the artifacts and figuring out what they can tell you.
John was with me when, and I can relate to this story. John was with me when I was at the Hall of Fame. And there's two instances. One is really cool, and one is even more cool. We acquired a Cobra helicopter from New Jersey Air National Guard or Army National Guard.
Yeah.
And John's first day on the job, first thing he does is he starts popping panels and he's looking for numbers. And next thing I know, we find out that our helicopter was a Vietnam combat veteran.
Yep.
It had been upgraded numerous times.
Yeah, she was an S model at that point, but yeah, she was a G.
Our helicopter actually saw combat in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So then we're walking around the museum and we had a Flying Tigers exhibit. The flight surgeon for the AVG, the Chenault's original Flying Tigers, was a doctor named Cornelius Kreisel.
Kreisel, I remember him.
And Kreisel was from New Jersey. He was in the Aviation Hall of Fame. And we were out in one of the storage units, and we found a box, and we opened it up, and in it was a real early war U.S. helmet and two Japanese swords. And then there was a wooden sign that had been cut and painted that said sick bay, and it was the Flying Tigers logo. And when we started looking around, we realized that this was Doc Kreisel's original artifacts.
Yeah.
So we had his original helmet that he had when he was in China with the Flying Tigers, and two swords, Japanese swords that he had brought back with him, including the sign that was when the AVG actually became the
23rd Fighter Group.
23rd Fighter Group. He shipped stateside, obviously took a commission and came back stateside, but he brought that sign back with him. And in a few photos of the AVG at Kunming, you can see this sign hanging on the hut that was the sick bay for the Flying Tigers. Yeah. And it's in our museum. And you just open up a box and you don't know what you're going to find, but then all of a sudden you find something that just has such a provenance and such a history. And as John related, that is the coolest part of the job. That is absolutely the coolest part of the job. But John was the one responsible for, in fact, didn't our Cobra kind of motivate you to actually write your first book?
So I actually had started it at that point, but yeah, I mean, I hunted down the guy, the aircraft commander for that aircraft. He and I spoke quite a bit. He didn't have any photos of it in theater, but he basically explained out the whole paint scheme to me. It was with Charlie Troop, 1st of the 9th Cav. Yeah. And yeah, we did a profile of it in my Osprey book on the Cobra in Vietnam.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, this is when you walk into the atrium of the Marine Corps Museum. Yeah. And yep, there you go. There's a Corsair hanging there, and an SBD and an H-34 in the background. And
okay, it looks a little bit different now because that Pioneer UAV in the front, in the foreground there, isn't there. And actually, from this view, see that platform up there off to the right?
Yep.
Well, right in front of that is now hanging an AH-1W.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that went in a couple months back in March, I think.
Okay.
And it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I just got this to finally pull up on the website. It wasn't your website. It was me trying to figure out how to get this to show here on the live screen.
Got it. Yeah,
now, that we have H-34, is that Yankee Lima 42 by any chance? Or is that's Yankee Lima 42. So that's Ben Cassio's.
Yep. They flew it there, and yeah.
So, and again, talking about some of the circles that we have, the original pilot of this original helicopter is a gentleman named Ben Cassio, Captain Ben Cassio. And if you look up his records online, he's a cut above the rest. He's an American hero. And after the war, he and a bunch of buddies got together and went down to an aircraft graveyard to pull one of these out. And they put it back in the air. And they've been flying it ever since the end of Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
And they finally donated it to the museum. But yeah, I've actually flown in that helicopter.
Well, John, going back to Jeff just mentioned that you had written some books. So being that this is Squadron, this book is a little interesting to us. Being one of the Squadron Signal books, a walk around. You wrote this back in 2005 or somewhere?
Yeah, around then.
Okay. What was tell us a little bit about your background flying and your interest in these things. Obviously you are interested enough to want to write books about them.
Yeah.
So give us a little background on yourself and these things.
So I started my first book in 2002, the AH-1 units in Vietnam. This for Osprey. And as I was writing it, I realized that as a military historian, I didn't think I was going to be any good unless I had some military experience of my own. And it was weird. I was older already. I was 28 at that point, or 29.
And you're an old man.
Well, for going into the military, it was.
Yeah.
So I mean, in my basic training company, I was 30, and so I went to basic in the summer of 2004. So I was actually almost 31, and I was 10 years older at least than everybody else in my platoon.
Right.
So it was definitely interesting, but I wrote another book for Osprey right after that on Apache units in Afghanistan and Iraq, and that sort of opened the door for me to get into flight school. So I wrote this one just before I left for flight school at the end of 2005, and there is a photo of me in there sitting in the cockpit. Actually, you got the one you guys used as the promo, but yeah. I threw that in there at the last second just because, why not? And it was pretty cool. But so took a little bit off and then did another book on the P-47 for Osprey, 12th Air Force. Mediterranean's always sort of been a fascination for me. And there really wasn't a lot written on 12th Air Force P-47s. So tore into that one with some gusto and really had a blast with it. And then I did one for Motor Books on it was first-hand accounts, P-47 combat missions. And then the last one I did for Osprey was for their dual series, and it was 9th Air Force P-47s against German light and medium flak. And then right now I'm working on another one for them for the combat aircraft series, which is P-47Ns of the Central Pacific.
Nice.
Which I'm really excited about because there's not a lot out there on the N model. They only fought for a couple of months, but I've gotten some really, really good photos and some really great information on them. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
I wish you hadn't waited so long to do it because I was very good friends with Bob Forrest.
Okay.
Lieutenant Bob Forrest. His P-47N was the one called Shell Pusher.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah, and he was a regular at the museum. He was a New Jersey guy. He was a regular, and some of the stories that I got from him and some of the other guys, Joe Solaro. You knew Joe. Joe was a 509th P-47 driver during the war. Yeah.
I'm actually I have one jug driver that I'm talking to now. He's still with us, doing great, and he was with the 414th on Iwo Jima right at the end of the war. So I think they only flew 3 combat missions over Japan, but he's been a wealth of information and just awesome to talk to.
Well, how old is he?
102,
102, 103. Wow. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you wrote some Apache books, but it sounds like you're more of a P-47 guy.
I am. Okay. So my whole interest in military history started from my granddad, who was an infantry officer in Europe in World War II. And he talked about, air support and stuff like that. And so that's where my interest was piqued. And so anything dealing with ground attack in the European theater was my bread and butter. And so I've always loved the jug. It's been really, really cool to research and write about it now. And, I can't get enough of it.
All right. Well, let me take a little side trip here real quick. So everybody knows about, that because I just talked about that. Everybody knows about the upcoming nationals that I've been talking about, and I will apologize in advance. I'm going to be talking about this show a lot for the next few weeks because I want everybody to go. It's a great time, and I'm looking forward to having a big turnout for that club there, the Tidewater Club that's putting it on. But we really like doing just stuff just because we want to, and we had an idea to make some sort of a convention exclusive. And that can mean a lot of things. I mean, it could just simply be some stickers that we hand out, and we're doing that. It could be little lapel pins that we hand out, and we're going to do that. It could be all sorts of stuff. But we thought, how cool would it be if there was an actual model kit that was a convention exclusive? And I don't mean one that we just have at the show. I mean, literally the box art that's printed has the club's logo on it. It says limited edition. It says 2025 convention exclusive. And it is a sure enough con exclusive. I mean, if you're in the comic book world or anything like that, you go to Gen Con, you go to Comic Con, they have all these con exclusives. I'm like, why can't we have that? So we started kicking around some ideas, started talking with some of the manufacturers that we deal really close with, and we came up with something. And this is one of the convention exclusives that we're going to have.
A 1/144th scale Apache autographed by Jon.
Woohoo!
Well, it's got to be something on rails with a gun, right?
Go big and go home, right?
16th scale Dora. What do you think?
Yeah, there you go.
You can't finish the 35th scale one you got.
Oh man, well, we are very excited about this. I hope you guys are too. And John, I think you're going to get a kick out of this, being that you're a P-47 fan. So here's what we've got coming, guys.
You just gave it away.
Yeah.
Drum roll, nothing.
Here we go. This is a 48 scale P-47D. This is the Razorback. As you know, or you may not know, Mini Art has been doing some 48 scale jugs, and they have recently announced that they will have a Razorback joining their lineup later this year, in August, in fact. And we, being in Georgia, really thought that Georgia Peach was a great name of a plane to do as a squadron exclusive. So we started looking. We needed some more plane. We can't just do one. So we looked for some more planes in the same fighter group, or the squadron rather. And we came up with 3 planes that kind of all go together. And this is what we put together. We worked real close with Alina from Mini Art. She was excited about this project. She was planning on being at Nationals with us to unveil this, and that those plans kind of fell through. I know she was bummed about that, and we were too, but that's okay. We'll still have these at the show, and we'll just tell her all about how much everybody loves them, or hopefully loves them. But yeah, John, so what do you think about this? You're a modeler. You're a P-47 fan. Is this something interesting to you? Is this neat?
I need 700-800 of them.
100.
100.
I don't know if we've even got that many. This is
I guess we're not going to have any at Nationals because John's taking them all.
No, this will be a very, very, very limited thing. We did not want to do the traditional full big run of, thousands of kits or whatever. We wanted to keep it truly limited. So there would be some, something special. But this is what we've got. This is the full box, kind of the same flavor as Mini Art's boxes, but instead of the blue sides, we're doing black to keep with the theme of our squadron kits. So we're excited. The decals are in this slide somewhere. We'll look at those. Here's your 3 planes. They're all from the 405th. And
Very cool.
You got Georgia Peach, you've got Raid Hot Mama, and then Yankee Tar Heel.
I had to have Yankee Tar Heel.
Of course.
Well, and Jeff, tell us about some colors.
Well, let's see.
We're going to have paint sets, as you guys could probably have imagined.
So the overwhelming majority of P-47s were painted in olive drab 41 with neutral gray undersides.
Okay.
The white or the colored band on the tail, and usually on the upper wing surfaces as well, was an identifier. P-47s had a very similar shape and profile, being a large radial engine fighter, to the Focke-Wulf 190. So they were used for friend or foe identification. And obviously, we look at it and we think, well, how could you misidentify a Focke-Wulf 190 from a P-47? Well, when it goes flashing by at 400 miles an hour in a dive, you don't have much time to figure it out.
400 miles an hour straight and level.
Yeah, this is true. So, and we actually have that particular shade of blue as well. Those will also be available, I believe, in the decals. The stripes will be available in blue in the decals, but the cowling colors will match the decal colors.
Jeff, I think we ended up leaving the stripes off.
Did we?
Yeah,
well, then we're going to have to paint them.
Well, in lieu of space and the fact that we had the paint, I think I've got the decals in the next slide. I'll show you.
I think most of our customers can handle painting a stripe.
Yeah, that's kind of.
So, and then Georgia Peach is an all-natural metal aircraft with an olive drab 41 anti-glare panel. The color callouts are there for the scale colors.
Yeah. Somebody asked in the chat if our colors are going to be in the instructions, and yes, this is a screenshot of the instructions in there. So yes, the our paints are in the mini art instructions, just like you see here.
Yep. So pretty straightforward. It's I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have some build-ups that will be done in time for nationals on display, so folks can actually see what they look like right out of the box.
Yep. And yeah, this is one of the decal sheets, and the other one, well, you'll see it in a second. But Frank says, so there's going to be a line at Squadron starting how early in the morning? Well, if you guys, oh, there you go. Thinking of Filmies Girls at Wonderfest. Yep. Where do you think I got the idea from?
There you go.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it's, and remember, this is just one of the exclusive kits. We've got another one to talk about next week. So this is the decal sheet, and this particular decal sheet is printed by Cartograph, just like all of Mini Art's kits are. So that'll be nice. And then the other decal sheet in the kit is supposed to be in here, and it's not. Sorry about that. The other sheet is Mini Art's stencil sheet that's got all the P47 stencils and all that kind of stuff on it. So it's included too. Yeah, this is just some of the pictures of, of the planes we've got. Dave Sanchez says, any chance of getting kit outside the show? So obviously we knew this was going to be a big question, and the kit is going to be released at the show, and the possibility of them selling out at the show is certainly there, and it's, I don't know if it's probable. We'll see. If we have any of them left that do not sell at the show, what we are going to do is, and let me get this plugged in real quick while I'm talking about it. Over on our website, let's see.
Hurry up.
Why is it not working? There we go. All right. I got too many things trying to flip around. Over on the website, I just posted this as an item that is still not showing. Let's see.
I think we need to fire the webmaster.
Well, unfortunately, the webmaster is trying to do all this in one shot. So I'm just going to get the direct link. There we go. All right, so here's the item on the page. I just unhid it on the page. So, and here's that second decal sheet that I was talking about. So here's the stencils.
All the stencils and whatnot.
Yep. Exactly. So you'll get the nose art and the, insignias, all that, and then you'll get the stencils. But anyway, on this page on our website, this gets you all the information. Here's all the sprues that you can see. Here's some, renders and all that. If we have any left, this email me when it's back in stock thing that we utilize. If you're not going to the show, if you're going to the show, please don't use this because you're just going to buy it at the show. But if you're not going to the show and you would like one, put your email address in here and click the notify button. And what we will do is, if we have any left when we get back from the show, I'm going to go through this list. And in the order that people put their email address, if I have one left, the first guy on that email address gets it. If I've got 10 left, the first 10 people get it.
If John goes, nobody gets one.
Yeah, pretty much. But that's what we're going to do. If they don't sell out at the show, we're going to go down this list and do it in order. And it's kind of first come, first serve kind of thing. So
now one of the things,
like Frank said right there, get a friend to buy you one at the show. Everybody probably knows somebody that's going to the show. So if you've got a buddy going, tell them to go over to Squadron, pick one of these things up for you, and that'll be the safest bet.
And one of the things to remember too is that if you do miss out on the Squadron exclusive, Mini Art will be releasing this kit sometime in August. It with different markings.
You won't miss out on a Razorback completely. You just will miss out on the cool exclusive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is let me get it. There we go. This is Mini Art's standard release, how it's going to look. This is their box art, and that'll be a standard kit that's available, from now on, like mini art kits are. So you'd be able to get that, but getting our boxing with our decals and, what's cool to me, the exclusive part of it, that's just going to be a show thing. So
now I'm not the P47 expert that John is, but my brain, and John and I have discussed this quite a bit actually leading up, but Mini Arts kit is listed as a D11RE.
Mhm.
And I believe that you can build this particular kit that represents everything from a D11 to a D21,
23.
23.
Well, it depends on the props.
Right.
If it comes with the Hamilton, it's D22. Then you got the other versions of the Curtis.
Yep.
It's the D11s didn't come from the factory with pylons, but they were plumbed for them and everything. They had the structural reinforcing, but they didn't actually start coming off the line with pylons until the D15. But most of the D11s were modified in theater.
Oh, there's my camera acting up again.
There you go.
Hey, you got to love that.
Ghost in the machine.
Yeah, these 3 planes, the Georgia Peach is a 21, and Raid Hot Mama's a 15, and I believe Yankee Tar Heel is a 20.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, they started coming off the line in natural metal with the D21.
Okay. Yep, that would make sense. Yeah. Well, we are excited, and I hope that you guys are too. And just make sure you get to our booth Wednesday morning before John does, so you have a chance to pick some up.
He asked me what day I need to come down. I mean, that's a no-brainer now.
He's going to be here on Tuesday helping us unload the truck.
Well, I'm going to, Frank was talking about Mark over at Filmies Girls. I'm going to have to do like him. I'm not selling these Tuesday to vendors. Correct. These go on sale Wednesday at 2:00 when the show starts. So it'll be neat. It'll be fun. And we're very excited about it. And I'm very excited about what we're going to announce next week too. It's just as cool as this. Different, but as cool as this.
Bigger.
16 scale Dora.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah. Well, so there you go, guys. The cat's out of the bag. Yeah. Oh, and I didn't mention, I mean, you guys know us well enough by now. I probably don't even have to mention this, but Peter is definitely the one that did the box art for us, the artwork for this. Yep. He just continues to blow our minds with everything he's doing. So,
yep. And actually, John was involved in this as well. Yep. When we were looking at the initial artwork that Peter was doing, I said to John, what would be ideal for this particular squadron and this particular fighter group, and John's first response was blowing stuff up on the ground. So that's what they're doing, and that's we even went so far as to go through the mission logs and whatnot to figure out what the loadouts were, what the most common loadouts were for this group. And 500 pounders and rocket tubes tended to be their favorite loadout. And as you can see by the box art, they're tearing up a German armored column.
So John,
yeah,
have you built a lot of P-47 models?
So sitting right next to me now, I have a case with about 42 of them in it.
Okay, that qualifies as a few.
There's another 23 downstairs, and I think 7 or 8 unbuilt yet.
We're going to expand that unbuilt stash pretty significantly in August, I think.
So the next question is, do you think you can get one done before Nationals if we send you one?
Yeah, I could definitely do that.
Put everything else on hold.
What did we just say about these don't go on sale till Wednesday?
Well, yeah. No. See, here's the motivation. If he's got one to build, he's not going to buy the other 699 that we bring to the show.
Oh,
see,
yeah.
I'm thinking.
I don't think we have 699, Jeff.
Oh, okay. 34.
I know you're just spitting numbers out, but we ain't got that many.
35, 34. I mean,
we have more than 34.
What, 220, 221, whatever it takes?
Yeah. We have more than 34 and less than
come on.
699. Oh, well, I think it's going to be neat. Arnell was asking if we're going to have the metal paints ready by nationals, and Arnell, the answer to that is no. We
No.
definitely will not. We're going to be doing all we can do to make sure we get those 420 standard colors. And when I say standard, I mean non-metallic colors ready. And then after that, we get to start on getting the metal colors figured out. So
yeah, that's going to involve me going into the laboratory with Dr. Modelstein and actually, putting on the mask and the rubber gloves and making mad chemistry.
there you go.
But between now and the nationals, we've got tank tracks that need to be done and manufactured and produced, and we've got ship parts that need to be done and produced. And
Oh yeah, we have our plate full. I Like Ike says, when and where is the show? So the IPMS National Convention this year is August 6th through 9th. That is a Wednesday through a Saturday, and it is in Hampton, Virginia, at the Hampton Roads Convention Center. And you can see, I don't have on our website, that's a clickable, this big old banner here is a clickable link, but their website is ipmsnationals.org, isn't it, Jeff? Yeah, ipmsnationals.org, and that's got all of the show information on it, the schedule, everything that you need to know.
It's only 2 hours away from me.
There you go.
Oh, man, you're going to buy all the P-47s.
I know he is. Yeah, he's going to rent like a Chrysler minivan and just show up and just start loading.
Yeah, I could do that.
I need a new camera.
He's going to go back there and talk our semi-truck driver into loading up a pallet of them or whatever and taking them to his house.
Yeah,
there you go.
Just,
Brandon, I'm going to start a GoFundMe for a new webcam.
Well, I got a couple extra ones here.
I don't know why this is misbehaving.
Miami says that he built the bubble top Georgia Peach too. That is an interesting plane, if you know, and obviously you do. So the two Georgia Peaches, one was a Razorback, one was a bubble top. Their nose arts were as identical as they could possibly be between two different planes, getting virtually the same paint scheme.
There's actually 3 of them.
There is. Okay.
The question is, did they use the same cowl panel?
That could very well be.
I don't think so. I remember it's been a few months now. This project has been in the works for a while, and I've been thinking about many other projects since starting this. But if I remember correctly, the two pilots were really, really good friends, and one of them copied the other. If I remember correctly, something along those lines.
Very cool.
So here's another little tidbit. John was actually at the museum when we started this project. When I was there, we actually set in motion the restoration and recovery of an F-105 Thunder Chief that was named Georgia Peach.
Really?
And I wonder, I never got into the weeds on it, but I wonder if that was maybe perhaps one of the same pilots of the P-47s.
Yeah. There were a few jug drivers who ended up flying Thuds.
Yeah. So that would be something that might be a little project we have to get into. We never did end up getting the F-105. The funding kind of dried up before we were able to move it. Last I knew, it was sitting down at Aberdeen Proving Grounds. But we brought some provenance. It was supposed to get shot up as a target. But we brought some provenance to it because it was the last F-105 to be retired from the Air Force inventory.
Nice.
So when we brought that to the attention of the powers that be, there was some interest in it. So hopefully they saved it. I don't know.
Do we have time for one more museum story?
Oh, absolutely.
We have all kinds of time.
So if everybody's seen Squadron's Gunslingers in action, there are 2 aircraft profiled on the back. One of them is number 1 Dume Me, or basically number 1 FU. Great paint scheme. It's from F Troop 4th Cavalry. It's got a black nose. I actually have the original artwork hanging right over my desk here. But in 2022, I believe, so we have an original G model Cobra in the collection. It's one of the 32 Marine Cobras that went to Vietnam. And its cockpit's kind of gutted. So we went to Aberdeen. Your Aberdeen story got me thinking. We went to Aberdeen because they had a bunch of Cobras there that had been used as targets and everything, or just were supposed to be used as targets. So we could pull parts out of the cockpits to restore our cockpit. So as I'm working there, I went over to one area, and there were 4 Cobras on this pad, and those were going to be crunched in 2 weeks. We're disposing of them. So as I'm sitting in the rear cockpit of this one, starting to unscrew the data plate, I looked at the tail number on it, and it was 685012, and I went, holy shit.
Language.
Sorry.
I'm kidding.
I'm sitting in the cockpit, the rear cockpit of number 1 Dume.
Yeah. It was the actual helicopter.
It was the actual helicopter.
Wow.
And it's slated for destruction in a week and a half or 2 weeks or whatever it was. So immediately I got on the phone with a buddy of mine over at the National Museum of the U.S. Army. He's one of the curators there. He actually was my intern.
Full circle.
Imitating art or whatever.
Yep.
But so I called him up and said, look, this helicopter is really historic. It's about to get killed. Do you want it? He said, absolutely, yes. So over the next year and a half, whatever, we saved it from being crunched, and we got it to the National Museum of the U.S. Army collection, and it is now down in Alabama being restored.
Excellent.
So we saved
hearing that.
We saved that helicopter.
I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah.
How long before it's going to be done, you think?
I don't know. Actually, I need to check in with them and see what they're up to. But yeah, I mean, I'm so thrilled about it. The funny thing is, the Army Aviation Museum has a Cobra painted up in those markings too. So it was really kind of cool when we said, "Hey, we've got the original." Bob Mitchell, who's the director down there, was just thrilled. Bob and I were directors together in the Army Museum system, and he was actually the attack branch chief when I went through flight school. So we've known each other for a while too. But
very cool.
Yeah. Wow.
Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, give us another. We usually go between an hour and an hour and a half, so we got a few minutes. If you got another story or two to give us, and if not, that's fine too. But I don't want to cut you off.
It's funny too, because I've been so focused on armor lately.
Okay.
That getting back around to aircraft has been sort of a refreshing break.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, all of my building lately has been 35th scale armor. I think I've got 6 Shermans building at this point, and then a couple of what do you call it, M67A2 flame tanks from Vietnam. Just really trying to focus on Marine Corps stuff for work, really.
Right.
So it's been kind of cool. But talking about the aircraft stuff is of course where my heart is.
Well, and it's funny because I'll be working on a project and then something will come up and oh God, it's a P-47 question. I'd better ask John. so I'll get him on the horn, and we haven't spoken for a year and a half or whatever it is, and it's like walking over to a neighbor's house borrowing his shovel, Yeah. And the next thing we're throwing photographs back and forth, and I think the beauty of what we do is that, like, I will ask you a question and say, well, here, look at this photo, and you're like, where did you get that photo?
Yeah, I haven't seen that. Where'd you
I've
find
never
that?
seen that photo.
Yeah.
Where did you find this one? Oh, this has been in my collection, because I'm the guy that here, see, even as I'm the guy that has, like, stuff from the archives just piled up everywhere. But that's the beauty of kind of what we do in that parallel course that I've mentioned before, that we've been running for 30 years now, is that when I need something, I call John. When he needs something, he calls me. I built models for him. That scratch built 1899 mortar.
Yeah, it was a 12-inch mortar. I was doing an exhibit on Corregidor, and we had a uniform from Colonel Macello, who was a Distinguished Service Cross recipient on Corregidor, and was firing the last gun, which was one of these 12-inch mortars, on May 6, 1942, when Corregidor finally falls.
Yep.
And Jeff built us an absolutely gorgeous scratch-built 35th scale 12-inch coastal defense mortar.
Yep.
Nice.
Just
I want to see that sometime. You got pictures of it somewhere? Dig
You
them
know,
out.
I might have photos laying around, but
it's still on display when they moved into the new building. I'll see if Corey can take pictures of it for you.
did they credit me at least?
I think so. I mean, your name was
Boy.
definitely on the.
Boy, I
banner.
hope so. I mean,
Yeah.
it's my claim to fame right there.
Yeah,
Oh,
that,
yeah.
you talked about Corregidor. One of my favorite subjects is Fort Drum.
Yep.
No, okay, sure.
I
Yeah.
just that back when we started making resin model kits 15 years ago now, our very first release in 350th scale was a Fort Drum.
Wow.
Yeah, that just
Concrete
it's-
battleship.
yeah, just very, very interesting stuff.
Yeah.
That whole the Manila Bay, that whole thing is just really strange but interesting.
Such a tumultuous period of
Sure.
history at the very beginning of the war.
Right. Well, John, you mentioned that you obviously like aircraft. You've been building armor. Do you ever venture into any other areas of modeling, ships or cars or figures, or do any Star Wars stuff? I mean, anything.
Actually, it's funny. My son got into Warhammer a few years ago.
Okay.
So I got into that for a bit, and that really helped my figure painting. So I've really sort of gotten into doing figures more now.
Okay.
It's been a lot of fun. I'm certainly not great at it, but I've improved significantly, and I'm really happy with some of the figures that I'm doing now.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well,
In fact,
good deal.
I've got a bunch of Marines that I'm working on right now.
All right.
So
I got to show you some figures we've got here at the shop that you might love. You ever built any H3 model kit figures? They're 3D printed figures.
oh, nice.
They do them in all sorts of scales, 35th. They do them in 16 scale. They are
Nice.
pretty fantastic.
Okay.
You have to check them out on our website sometime. I think
Oh, I'd love to. Okay.
they're phenomenal. They're really good. Now, John, we cannot answer this question I'm about to throw up on the screen.
Okay.
We have to answer this question very vaguely. Arnell wants to know if Mini Art's going to do any other P47 variants, C's, M's, N's.
I sure
Arnell,
do.
we're not at liberty to say. All I can say is Mini Art has a lot of really, really good ideas, and anything revolved around P47s, they know the guy to ask. And I think you guys are going to be very, very happy with next year's announcements.
Yeah, we could just put up that sign that says "Stay tuned."
Yeah. If the model manufacturers need to know something, we know a guy.
Yeah. Who's that guy on TikTok who makes millions and millions of dollars going? That's us right now.
All right.
I don't know.
I like Ike says, what's the name of the company that makes the models? If you're talking about these P47s that we've been talking about, the name of the company is Mini Art, and they are located in Poland.
Yeah.
They used to be in Ukraine, but they moved to Poland when the war started.
Okay.
But they been making models for many, 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 many years. And but just in the past, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, their quality is really, really taking a step up, and everything they're doing now is fantastic.
Both Mini Art and ICM have just
Yeah.
they've really they've become mainstream players, and their newer kits are right on par with any of the Far East manufacturers.
Yep. Oh yeah, if not better.
Yeah.
John, have you built any of Mini Art's P47s?
I have not yet.
Okay.
I've been, I like I said, I've been focused on stuff for work, so I have not actually gotten one yet, but I'm dying to.
I think we can safely say that the Marines never flew P47s.
They did not. They definitely did not.
Tom wants to know about Mini Art doing 72. I don't know. The 48 scale P47 was Mini Art's very first venture into aircraft at all. And since then, they've done that. What's that Junkers that they've got? That is a F-13, I think. The metal transport plane. Am I saying that right?
No.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. The pre-war.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a single-engine mini Ju-52.
Yeah. F-13.
F-13.
Yep. So that was their second plane that they've got, and they have just announced a third plane, and I forget what it is. It's German. It's one of the German fighters. I forget which one. But anyway, so they were not sure. Yeah, that's it. Russ, Dad, you just popped it up on the screen. There you go. Jose said it. The FW-190. Yep, that's their.
Nice.
That's what they've got coming. But the P-47 was their very first aircraft. They weren't sure how it was going to go because mini art for 20 or 30 years has been armor and diorama.
Exclusively armor.
Exactly. But their first release, that P-47 they did, I think it really blew them away how well accepted mini art was by the aircraft modeler community.
Yep.
I mean, it was a fantastic kit, so obviously that helped, but they were very welcome to that aircraft community, if you will. So I think they're in the aircraft market to stay. As far as doing other scales, I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of a natural progression of model kit companies. After you do everything in one scale, the next step is to do it in another scale. So I don't know, but I've not heard of any plans to do anything in 72 scale.
And they do tend to keep their cards kind of close, typically. And I think folks have to remember that this is a very cutthroat business in the sense that if a company comes up with a good idea and the word gets out too soon, oh, we're doing this XYZ tank or this, ABC.
Dora.
Yeah, if we're doing a 16th scale Dora, then all of a sudden everybody else is thinking to themselves, well, if they're doing it, there must be a reason. So we're going to do one too. Then the next thing you know, we've got 10 different companies doing 16th scale Doras.
Well, and that's why, and I'm sure John doesn't mind at the moment, but that's why everybody and their brother are doing 35th scale Shermans right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going everywhere. Russ just pulled that down. I'm going to pop it back up here, Russ. Miami wants to know how to find that leftover kit thing. Let me show you this. If you go to why is it not working? If you go to the front page of the website and scroll down to new kits, and I'm going to end up putting this over here on the left so you can see it, but go down to new products. There it is. Click on it. And when it pops up, just plop your email right here in this box and click notify me. And that'll put you on the list of people that are interested if we have any left after the show.
If John doesn't buy them all.
I guess I'll let a couple people go.
We'll just have to hide a case of them under the table and tell John they're gone.
Yeah. Cool. Easily distracted by kits.
What? What?
Yo, Jimbo, am I going to be at the shop Friday? I will be at the shop Friday until lunchtime. I am leaving a little bit early. I might be there all day. I got to go drop my wife off somewhere across town. And I don't know. We got to be there like at 5, I think. So I might be there all day, but I know I'll be there at least till lunchtime.
Putting her on an airplane and sending her off to the Caribbean?
The Caribbean part, no. The airplane part, yes, actually. Oh, man.
I mean, we have covered a lot of ground tonight. And, and we're actually like under our timeline here.
Yeah, maybe I can make it to work on time tomorrow.
Yeah.
Here's Mike with Plastic Model Mojo talking about been adding to the stash since his birth date. And these podcast guys like Mike with the Plastic Model Mojo, these guys are great. If any of you are looking for something to listen to get information about the model kit industry, the hobby in general, give these guys a listen, plasticmodelmojo.com. And actually, this weekend, I'm getting up with these guys. They want to talk to me for some reason and put me on one of their podcasts. I've been on their show before, but we'll be hanging out this weekend. And I have no idea what we're going to be talking about, but I have a feeling it's going to revolve around P47s.
Well, we kind of sorted that part out.
The bag. But yeah, the Plastic Model Mojo, make sure to check those guys out. Dave, the P47 that we are doing as an exclusive is the basic kit. It is not their deluxe version with the photo etch. That, first of all, is not available yet. Second of all, a lot of people want that, but more people don't want that, believe it or not. So this was the best way to keep the price as low as possible for as many people that want to get their hands on something that's exclusive.
This is one of those kits too that when you open it up and you look at the plastic, the realization comes pretty quickly that for the most part, all you need are a set of seat belts for it.
Yeah.
Everything else is just superbly done.
Yeah. If you look at the, and since Dave's asking, he probably has one of the deluxe kits, so he knows this maybe. And they actually don't call it deluxe; they call it advanced.
Yeah. But
their advanced versions, if you look at what they actually include, and I unfortunately don't have pictures on that one or that one. I got to fix that. You see, the price difference is only $10 or $12 in most cases. There's not that much stuff. It's not like these ship models.
Right.
These ship models that we do, $100 for the basic, $550 for the deluxe or whatever it is. On these P47s, they do include a small piece of photo etch, some seat belts, a couple of little 3D upgrades, I think, in the engine. But for the most part, it's not a huge difference like it is in some of the ship models that we see.
Right.
But ours is going to be their basic version, to answer that question directly.
Which is fine, because if any of them do happen to survive Jon's purchasing wrath, or the actual mini art release later on, that will be on the website and available, through the site, we will tie in any and all aftermarket that are applicable to that.
I'm trying to twist Alina's arm into once they get the advanced parts done, because inevitably they will release an advanced version of their Razorback as another box, another decal set, the whole 9 yards. I'm trying to twist their arm into, once that's available, to perhaps consider selling us just those advanced parts that we would exclusively offer to only people that bought one of those kits from the show. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but that is what I'm trying for.
So here is a question, Tom, and Jon can chime in on this too. P47s came with 2 different interior colors. It came with,
here we go.
It came with the standard interior green, but it also came with a dark bronze green. Depending on, and Jon, jump in and kick me here, but depending on where the aircraft was built and who built it, and then the particular variant of the aircraft.
The earlier ones were, as far as I know, and this is not an area that I'm 100% on, but as far as I know, the earlier ones were the standard interior green, and then I think in the early D models they switched over to the darker. The control column that I have here is the darker shade.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Tom, I really don't know. However, I do know someone who has an original piece of equipment with that color on it. So guess what? We'll be adding that color to the lineup.
I've always used like standard European 1 green. That was a really close match. But yeah, I mean, I can certainly send you some chips off of my control column if you want.
That would be awesome. Yeah, then that's how you get accurate paint.
Yeah, you can't get much more accurate than paint off of the original.
Yep.
That's and you know what? While we have it here, that and John will love this story because this ties into a museum. It ties into a museum. I was at the Museum of the United States Air Force in Dayton, Ohio, and I have my fan deck book with me. And if any of you have been to that museum, Boxcar, which was the B-29 that dropped the atomic bomb on Nagasaki, the nose of the airplane is within arm's reach. And on the B-29, the nose gear doors are they're out there. And on the edge of the nose gear doors is that interior green color. And I've got my fan deck and I'm holding it up to the actual airplane, trying to find a really good color to nail it down. Well, one of the docents kind of lost his mind. He thought I was doing something to the airplane. So he comes running over all ready to tackle me. And I explained to him what I was doing and who I was. And he looked at me and he says, "Do you have a business card?" I said, "Sure." He goes, "Actually, do you have 2 business cards?" "Sure." So I hand him 2 business cards. He says, "Wait here, I'll be right back." He's gone about 15, 20 minutes and I'm starting to get antsy. I'm looking at my watch and, all of a sudden he comes back. He had taken my 2 business cards. He had gone out to the restoration shop and had opened up cans of 1944 dated zinc chromate yellow and interior green and dipped my business cards into the actual paint.
Wow.
Hit them with a heat gun, dried them, and then came back and handed them to me. And he goes, "Here, now you can match to actual 1944 paint that was in our restoration locker." We brought it back, we color matched it, and that is where our interior green and our zinc chromate yellow actually came from original samples from the Air Force Museum. So it's little stuff like that really, makes a difference.
Definitely.
Yep. It helps.
I love that story. That's one of my favorite stories. all the paint matching and all the stuff that is one of my favorite stories of all time.
All right. Well, John, this has been great.
Definitely.
This has been great. I'm sure you have about 1 million other stories. And as soon as we hang up, you're gonna go, "Oh."
Yeah, there's a few of them we can't talk about, but
Well, we'll have to have you back again one day.
I'd love to. I'd absolutely love to.
Now, I know we're joking about you buying all the P-47s at Nationals. Are you going to be at Nationals? Indeed.
I'm going to do my best.
Okay.
I'm not sure just yet, but I certainly it's on my radar, and I certainly would like to be there. And it's only 2 hours away, so it's not that big a deal.
Now,
I'd love to meet you.
What if I could put you in touch with the show chair for the national convention? He's actually a friend of mine, and maybe the museum would want a table to promote at the show.
Let me float that idea. I mean, I'm on leave for the next couple of days, but next week I could probably float.
You float it. You let me know, and I'll put you in touch with the guy that can make it happen.
It's not that far away.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, John, if you don't have anything else, I guess we'll say good evening for now.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
It's been a pleasure seeing you. Talking to you again, brother. Don't be a stranger.
Man. Always.
You know where to find me, and all the best to the family.
Yours as well.
And hopefully we'll see you in a I don't know, about a month and a half or so.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you next time, John.
All right, guys.
See you, brother.
Well, Jeff,
I love that guy.
There were 2.
He is such a cool guy.
Yeah. I kind of like him.
Well, and that's one of the things that I've always said about this hobby is that you meet some absolutely incredible people from all walks of life, from all, and it's amazing how you can bring together people with just one common theme of our hobby.
Yeah, and this little plastic parts on sprues.
And that, but I mean, I knew John before I knew him as a modeler,
right?
Going back to the museum world, and it was really strange because we did one of my other hobbies back in the day was World War II reenacting, and that's actually where I met him. We were doing OPFOR training for the New York Army National Guard, which is basically the weekend warriors would go in and we'd play war games with them and embarrass them. And then all of a sudden he's like, you know, we were talking about airplanes, and then all of a sudden we were talking about museums, and then all of a sudden we were talking about models. And it's kind of like, you know, you're like my younger evil twin. How did this happen? But yeah, such a great guy. And if you get a chance to go to the Museum of the United States Marine Corps, it is a world-class museum. Absolutely world-class museum.
I hope to get there. I've never been. So,
well, we probably won't be able to do it this go around.
We'll be busy trying to keep him from buying all the P-47s.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jeff, I'm going to say good night, and we'll do this again next week. Same time, same place.
And are we dropping another announcement next week?
That is my intention.
Oh boy, even bigger and better.
Well,
I don't know. It bigger, but
but
as equally better.
Don't think of bigger necessarily as a different scale.
No, just a bigger
subject. Yeah. All right. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll just be quiet now before we give it away.
Yeah, getting into trouble.
All right, Jeff. We'll take it easy. I'll see you. Talk to you tomorrow.
All righty. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and thanks for your time. And I want to thank Jon Bernstein again for dropping in and making this a really really memorable show.
There you go, buddy. See you soon.
Righty. Take care.
Well, guys, that's going to wrap us up for tonight. And here's one more look at our convention exclusive. So make sure to come out to the show this year, just a few weeks away, August 6th through the 9th, and pick you up one of these or two of these, or pick you up three so you can build all three planes from the box. But however you want to do it, that'll be great. And we look forward to getting these things out to you guys. So y'all take it easy. We'll do this again next Wednesday night. And Lord willing, we'll have another announcement to make along these same kind of lines. And we're excited about it as well. So y'all take it easy. We'll see you next week.